right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for this webinar on trade shows being gone and what to do next. So quickly here, I'm going to introduce our speakers. So we have Pat McGovern. He is the Director of New Business Development at Acedia. He is going to be speaking today on the importance of websites and some other quick things that you can do right now during this time to help your business in developing new sales for your company. We also have Marge Murphy. She is the president of Acadia, and she'll be talking about some things you can do to align your sales and marketing teams to help you during this time. Quickly, before I hand it off to Pat to get us started, just a couple housekeeping things. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat pane. That should be in the panel of your Zoom conference, and let us know if you have any questions there or in the Q&A pane. We'd love to hear from you throughout the presentation. We will have some polls throughout the presentation, so please participate in those. We just want to see where you guys are at and how things are going during this challenging time. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Pat to go over our agenda.
Thank you, Bridget. Hello, everybody. Pat, I'm psyched to be here. I think we've got a great presentation for all of you, and I'm really anxious to get into this. I'll be back at the end of this, but I'm going to shut off my video now just to preserve a little bit of bandwidth and make sure we don't have any issues going. So let me do that and take care of that right now. And I'm going to up my audio just a little bit here, getting that. Okay, put that there. All right, I hope that's better for everybody. So I was trying to get my audio or video off. Start here. Bridget, maybe you could go back one for me. Start there. Great. All right. Let's start with the agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about the current situation, what we've got going on here. Of course, the need to enhance your website. That's a big portion of what we're going to be discussing. Then I'm going to turn the mic over to Marge. She's going to talk to you about now then aligning sales and the marketing teams together. Okay. So these first three charts that I have are really, this is not new information, but it just goes to level set of what's going on and just the huge impact that we've been experiencing. This first one is talking about the rate and the total confirmed cases of COVID-19. There's a bunch of lines here, but the one at the top is the United States, where we're over 1 million now and growing. The good news is it seems to be leveling off, hence more and more states beginning to open up. We're talking about projected 100,000 fatalities throughout all this, and that's by June 1. So this is just the world that we're living at right now. This one is just, it's a sad chart, 30 million unemployed. This was done the numbers are from the end of April. Right now, I believe we're hitting about 35. The question that a lot of people have out there right now is are these people all going to come back, or what's going to be the outcome? And really, no one knows. And then the stock market is crashed. Again, no big surprises there in terms of we've all been living with this. What is a bit of good news is that if anybody has Moderna stock, you could probably leave this conference right now and head out. There was some very good news yesterday, which sent the stock market up about 900 points. Hopefully this will be some more good news down the road. We don't know. But if it turns out to be not as good as people are hoping for, that gain could be wiped out pretty quickly. So all that brings us to the end of trade shows, right? By March, the estimated loss from trade shows was a staggering 1.6 billion that were gone. And that's a big hit. A lot of organizations depend heavily on this channel, both from a sales as well as from a marketing perspective. And now that's been taken off the table. Let's also keep in mind a couple things here. One, trade shows in and of themselves are extremely expensive, and the attendance at trade shows has been going down year over year. Secondly, companies and organizations just can't wait to say, you know what, okay, we missed it this year, we'll wait to the following year and then hit it hard in 2021. Don't count on it. The virus could be wrapped up, it may not be, but the importance of trade shows, in my estimation, are going to be going down anyway. I think there's going to be business travel in general is going to take a real hit. So waiting for 20 to 21, that's not a long-term strategy that I would say follow. Right? So that brings us to our first poll. How has your business been impacted by COVID-19? We'll take a couple minutes here. If you wouldn't mind filling that out, that would be awesome for us. Wow. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. A lot of impact. Not a surprise, right? I see these numbers. I don't think anybody's too surprised on that by any of this. So let's move on. And we're going to talk a little bit more, kind of weight this a little bit more about manufacturing. In some of these examples just kind of lend itself to that, but it doesn't necessarily have to. I think a lot of things that Marge and I are talking about today really impact a lot of different verticals. This particular slide, the hit to manufacturing, it's significant. Again, this was done earlier in the year where you could see nearly 80% are anticipating a financial impact, 55% thereabout, a change in operations, and about a third are hitting supply chain disruptions. Again, that's when this was taken. I can imagine these numbers are probably a lot higher right now. And again, this is in manufacturing. I'm sure if we took retail or travel, these numbers would be as high or not even higher, right? So let's start, that's the world. Let's start pivoting in what's going to happen next. And there's going to be a couple themes that Marge and I are going to touch on, and this does a real nice job summing this up. It's from McKinsey Digital. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to hit on the second sentence here. Businesses that once mapped digital strategy in 1 to 3 year phases must now scale their initiatives in a matter of days or weeks. The future is going to belong to the fast. And organizations that have thought about things and not have acted and did not act are going to fall further and further behind, right? Let's just think about personally our own experience. I'll use my wife. A month and a half ago, she never did a Zoom conference. She never knew what Teams was. Now she's an expert in it. I didn't know how to grocery shop digitally online. You had to learn that. Daycare, people had to figure that out. The population is going to be thinking about this as we come out of this, going, I figured this stuff out. How come businesses can't? And they're going to promote those businesses that can with their pocketbook. And that goes across everything. That's not just business to consumer or business, but that's across all industries. The pace is going to continue to speed up. And that really brings us to this interesting, I think, question. And there's two philosophies. One is there's a lot of change happening. Another is this change was already happening. COVID-19 is just the gasoline on the fire. I happen to fall into that category, right? The things that we're going to be talking about today, the need to embrace digital and sales and marketing working together, these aren't new concepts. Digital transformation has been around for years, right? Google it. You could see all the articles. Sales and marketing working together, hundreds upon hundreds of articles written about this. The difference is going to be this has to happen, and it has to happen quickly. And now is the time. So where do you want to pivot to? Cut to the chase. It's going to be your website. Your website is your number one salesperson. It is your number one marketing channel. But don't believe me there. Take a look at this. It impacts 97% of purchasing decisions. That's a fact from HubSpot. across all categories, right? Not only is your website this critical element, think about it in terms of trade shows, right? You've got this one kind of hit or maybe multiple trade shows, and after that's over, it's over. Your website is there constantly acting as a marketing and sales channel for you. Now's the time to rethink this and reinvest in this critical channel. Not only that, it offers an enormous opportunity for sales and marketing to work together. And Marge is going to get into that a lot more. The problem is too many organizations have just said, set it and forget it kind of mentality. Yes, there's been tons of lip service paid to the fact that it's, yeah, this is our most important channel. And yes, we value this. But look around. I mean, especially in manufacturing, there are a lot of sites out there that just haven't kept up, haven't been really the need to. And a lot of that has been because the model that was in existence was that, well, my sales force does that. My sales force sells. My sales force builds relationships. That's been kind of taken away. We have to rethink the website going forward. In fact, some current research says now the average length of time before a site goes through a overhaul, 2 years and 7 months. 2 years and 7 months. And that brings us to our next poll. When was the last time you updated your website? When was the last time you updated your website? %39% within the last year, 1 to 2 years. Good, interesting. Good, I'm glad to see no one clicked, I don't have a website. That's good, we're in a good place. So what's required is a new mindset and new results going forward. And what I'm throwing out for your consideration is to rethink the website rather than a digital storefront, which again, many have thought about that and have used the site as that, but rather a relationship building tool, right? If we think of the trade shows and a lot of their importance, in a lot of business overall, it's the relationship that you create, right? I think a lot of us have heard this in our time in business. This is a relationship game, Pat. This is how business gets done. And I totally agree with that. But now if we think about our website as a tool that could help foster that, could help evolve that, this opens up all kinds of possibilities for us, doesn't it? So here are 4 things to do. What I want to do is I want to leave you with some things you could take away from this webinar going, okay, I could get back to my desk, I could talk to people, and I could start implementing some of these things. And there are 4 things that I think you can do that won't take a lot of time, effort, energy, right? To get it moving at least. Customer reviews, enhance about us, content that converts, and create a microsite. So let's get into it. Customer reviews. Okay, you got a slide here with a lot on it. A lot of great numbers. Let me read some of these off to you. There's a boatload of evidence right now that just shows customer reviews are important. Not only are they important, they help business. In the US, 68% of online shoppers are more likely to engage with business that have positive reviews. 93% determine whether a business has good reputation or not based on the available reviews. And how about this? A full 97% say customer reviews factor into their buying decisions. Finally, reviews are 270% more likely to be bought than a product without customer reviews. Clearly, these help. How many sites have these, though, especially in manufacturing? Not too many. And maybe getting customer reviews is a bit problematic for a number of reasons. Okay, let me go down that path with you. Fine. Well, let's not hit customer reviews right now, but maybe a half step to get to that is more testimonials. Now, a lot of sites do use testimonials. The problem is it seems like there's the same testimonials that were there once the site was initially put up, right? how about thinking about those as ever evolving? New testimonials should be coming on. That could be part of the sales team to get those and continually put those up there to maintain fresh and new and current information and content online. The second one is about us. This is a line from HubSpot, and I totally agree with this. The About Us page is one of the most important, and I think one of the most overlooked pages on the site. It's kind of like, yeah, we'll put something up there, but not a lot of thought, effort, energy goes into what should be on there, and what does the About Us page kind of reflect on us, and how do we use that? Again, now put this through the lens of it's a relationship building tool. What could we do differently with this section? I'm not trying to pick on anybody here. I just pulled an example. This is an About Us page from a site that I was on. A lot of sites look like this, where we sell our distribution system, our history, which is a really cool story, actually. And there are a lot of companies who have a lot of really cool stories to tell. For one, though, I'm not going to be reading this because online people don't really read that much. That's a lot of copy on there. Two, it's just not very compelling, right? Let me contrast this with you, and I'm making going on one end of the spectrum here, but Yellow Leaf is a company that manufactures hammocks, right? So this is a B2C company, I get it, but the same thought process could work into B2B. Here's their About Us section. This is just part of it, but it's talking about their values, which is just graphically more inviting. Now, I'm going to be the first to jump in with anybody else who's out there who's thinking, boy, the blocks that are in yellow are impossible to read. Yeah, they are. This is a poor representation of it, but even on the website itself, it was poor. That being said, this is a bit more inviting. And the blocks of copy are broken up into more bite-sized pieces. Right? Further on down, you're going to meet the weavers. These weavers are people, an indigenous tribe from northern Thailand. Right there, that's kind of a cool story to tell. But this could easily be about someone who's been in the plant for 25 years, or this person who founded this particular aspect, or this salesperson. These stories don't have to be about people just in Thailand. It could think about your own company and the amazing stories that are there. Okay. That was Yellow Leaf. I want to take an example of an iconic brand that everybody talks about when they talk about just marketing excellence, and that's Nike. Right? Nike, Apple, continually come up there as a pantheon of brands, and they're awesome. And here's an About Us section talking about their leadership. I just pulled this person from the lineup, and this is meet Hillary Crane. Hillary Crane is the Chief Administrative Officer and General Counsel. Read through Hillary's bio, and damn, she's got game, right? Senior Vice President, General Counsel, Corporate Affairs, Levi Strauss, Stanford University, University of Chicago Law School. Definitely a person who has accomplished a lot, right? Okay. If we're thinking about this, though, a little bit differently, and if we're thinking about this as, how do I use this section now, again, to build up a relationship? Because a relationship is going to help me close more business. Maybe I could keep this, but perhaps I want to create a short video where Hillary is talking about herself, why she joined the company, what she's looking to get out of things, a little bit about herself. All of a sudden, now you've got a personality. You've got a person that's out there. Think about this in terms of salespeople. Again, creating a short video that may engage someone who is new to the site, right? Could be very, very impactful. And when we're talking about video, and again, Margin's going to talk a little bit about this as well, but video doesn't have to be high quality anymore. People are very, very comfortable watching, consuming video that's taken off of phones. So don't get me wrong here. I'm not talking about a high production, we got to get a bunch of people in and spend hours and days and weeks putting this together. This could be done very, very inexpensively. Content that converts. This is the third one. Take a look at a lot of manufacturing sites, and what you'll see is a lot of product information that's out there that is really addressing, it's really just feature focused and technical focused, right? There's not really a story there. And again, the reason I'm sure that's why that happens a lot is because the sales team would sell this, right? We just have to let people know that's out there and give them some of the basics that they need. But the selling portion of it, that's done by the sales team. Again, that's been limited. And if that can't come back, can the website work even harder to sell some of this? Now, I picked this product, again, a meatball roller. That's not that sexy of a product, right? But just listing it out as meatball roller surely doesn't engender anybody to go, well, unless I'm really in the market for a meatball roller, I want to take a look at that. But keep in mind, the person who's looking at this is, I'm sure, looking at other things as well, at other rollers as well that make meatballs. So, I mean, just simply, instead of calling it the meatball roller, something is maybe more impactful is, welcome to the most sanitary roller available on the market. Wow, they're taking a stand. The most and sanitary, words that catch people's attention. Can have a little bit of fun with this. A meatball roller, even better than mom used to make, right? I'm not a copywriter. I'm just trying to give you examples of how to think about this and to think about it more in terms of what are the stories that we can tell about this that can engage somebody with our product and that helps sales along, right? Content that converts. And then finally, create a microsite. Now, I've talked to people who've had a number of trade shows canceled. And the problem that they have run into is it's not just one trade show. They have trade shows in 6, 7, 10 different locations. As such, they've created a lot of collateral. They've created a lot of the booth and the theme of what they want to talk about. They've gotten swag. I know one guy who I was talking to him and he was beside himself. He's like, Pat, I'm sitting on 1,000 Western shirts. What am I going to do with this? Right? I was kind of laughing about it, but quite honestly, this was a big deal to him. What's he going to do? Where's he going to store this at? A microsite might be a great way to help take what you've already developed and put this online as a way to showcase your product. The example that's in front of you right now is Blendtec, and they did a masterful job of showcasing their product. Now, Blendtec is a blender. For most of you out there, many of you may know this. If you don't, Blendtec is an amazing blender that literally can blend anything, and that was their unique selling proposition. On this microsite in and of itself, what they did was show you a bunch of videos of Blendtec blending everything from an iPhone to a Major League Baseball. And it did a great job of showcasing. If we take the same kind of philosophy and same kind of thought, maybe there's ways that we can take a microsite to showcase a new product or a new advancement with an existing product, or use that creative that was built that was going to be used in the trade shows and put that online. Now, some may think, okay, cool, but I don't want my competition seeing that. Not a problem. Put part of it online, put the rest of it behind a gated community. In essence, if you want to find more out about this product, give us your email, give us some information. Now I'm turning this microsite into a lead generation tool that I can now use to prospect and engage with down the road, right? Those are 4 ways. The bottom line is this. Think about your website differently going forward. And again, the future belongs to the fast. So with that said, I'm going to turn the mic over to Marge, who's going to take you through how to blend both sales and marketing in more effective ways going forward. Okay? Thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks, Patrick. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we really do need to think differently at this point in time. Life is changing so rapidly, and we have got to figure this out. It is really quite the balancing act. But before I jump into speaking, I really want to make sure that everybody is putting things in the chat pane. If there's anything that you want to discuss while I'm talking, jump in, or if there's anything you want to address at the end. But yeah, great balancing act, great amount of change. And Patrick, you mentioned about your wife really kind of having to change some of the things that she's had to learn. Just think about Zoom. This is a great example. Zoom users went from 10 million to over 200 million in 3 months. I can't imagine how quickly they had to pivot, they had to scale, and I can't imagine working for Zoom at this point in time, but kudos to them. They got everybody running, and it's been magnificent for them. But moreover, what I'm seeing here is that this is a clear sign of the exponential growth that we're going to see with regards to virtual and digital engagements. This is not going away. It's now become a daily part of our life, and it is only going to increase. The key question is, are we ready to manage this on the back end? And this is really where sales and marketing alignment is going to be a critical piece as we advance into the futures of our companies. I want to go through a little bit of data here that I think kind of sets the stage for what we're looking at as sales and marketing people. And this actually is a slide that's taken from a book called Sticky Branding, and that was written by Jeremy Miller. And this has been around for a while, but I did recently see a percentage from Marketo, and they came out and said that at any point in time in your industry, only 4% of the target market is actively buying. So this is still pretty relevant to us, folks. And when you think of this today, if there are 3% active buyers in your space, and there are 7% who are looking to change but might not be buying, you probably have 10% that are pretty close that you can be addressing. But look at that lower 90. 30% have a need, but they're not ready to act. So it might be a month, it might be 2 months, it might be 2 years. 30% don't even have a need right now, and the bottom 30% are not interested in your company. So they might not ever buy from you. But if you're just looking at the middle 30 and the top 30 and that 7 that are intending to change, 67% of those people are not buying, but they're looking. So this is really telling us that we have got to be on the ball. We have got to keep those folks engaged and stay top of mind. So when they go up to that 3% of active buyers, they're looking at us. I've got a little bit more data I want to share with you. And this actually comes from a partner of ours, and that is Thomas for Industry. And those of you who know Acadia know that we work very, very closely in the manufacturing and the industrial space. And we rely on partners like Thomas to supply us with accurate statistics. And Thomas has done a fantastic job with really promoting a whole bunch of data and providing it to us as partners to share with clients and prospects. So their data is a result of over 1.5 million user sessions per month. And this is in combination with tens of thousands of industrial campaigns that they run over the years. So their data is fantastic, and all it does is continue to support what Patrick spoke about earlier. Your website is the #1 factor buyers are paying attention to. It also represents the highest area of opportunity for all of us because, again, Pat, you mentioned far too many businesses view their website as a secondary thought. It really is your #1 salesperson. It's where people are going to get information about you, about your products and services. And if the data isn't accurate and the content isn't accurate, they're going to click back to somebody else. Not to diminish, it's also important for us to have market presence, brand strength and reputation, accurate and good compelling case studies, and of course, social media. So think about it. All of these important categories take place during the client evaluation stages, and they're taking place online. And it looks like this. This graphic, I think, just brings it all home and really tells the story about sales and marketing alignment. So let's take a look at the top of this graph. This represents how the buyer is thinking as they're going through the buying process. This is the way they're thinking. Well, I need to do some research. If I'm an engineer, I've got to think about some designing. I might need to pull down some CAD drawings, and then I've got to make sure I'm really choosing the right vendors, so I'm going to hit a short list before I make a purchase. Now, this may be specific, again, to the manufacturing space, but this works in any space. Think about how you buy just as a consumer. You're looking, you're poking around on Amazon, you're saying, oh, you know, maybe that would be the right color, the right size. Let me see what the people say, what other people bought. Did they like it? What do the reviews look like? So I'm evaluating. I come down to my short list and I make my purchase. So it's the way buyers are thinking. Now on the flip side of this graphic at the bottom, Here's where we really have to start to think. This is the way our sales and marketing have to align with the way the buyer is thinking. We really can't deny that sales and marketing have to understand that client, the client needs, and what they're looking for, and provide that information at the right time to stay top of mind and not lose that buyer during any part of that buying process. So we've got to really face it. We've got no choice but to get the sales and marketing aligned with the buyer and move things ahead. And one other quick fact I'm going to throw out there in this particular scenario, and again, this is pretty specific to the industrial space, but Pat, you had a similar statistic earlier. 70% of the decision-making process in this buyer's journey is complete before they even pick up the phone. So you've got to be there, you've got to be ready, and you've got to be getting the content to them at the right time. So before we jump into talking specifically about sales and marketing alignment, how well do you think your sales and marketing teams are working together and collaborating together? All right, so we've got a variety of answers here. We have some good answers, collaborating often. Don't have a marketing department for some folks. Okay, so you've got salespeople who might be playing a dual role. I think, overall, it's very important to consider that as well. Your team may indeed be some people that are playing dual sales and marketing roles. So excellent answers. Thanks, guys. So aligning sales and marketing, we're kind of getting to the meat of the matter, but I think the data that I spoke about was really important to ensure that everybody understands the importance of this before we just jump into talking about it. So one of the statistics that I recently read comes from Content Marketing Institute, and they've reported that 60 to 70% of B2B content is never used because the subject topics are irrelevant to the buyer audience. Just what we were talking about. You've got to make sure you know who that buyer is, how they're thinking, and the content resonates with them. Meanwhile, HubSpot also came out with a statistic that stated 79% of marketing leads never convert due to a failure to nurture the consumer. So we've got to keep them interested. We can't just, touch them once, give them one piece of information and walk away. So getting that content and getting that nurturing right is the key to successful engagement. So the team alignment and the platform, this is something that I really love to talk about because it's just so critical in the overall understanding of how we work together. So thinking about this, we start with a clear view of the life of a lead. So in general, we have strangers that become prospects, prospects that become customers, and customers that evolve into promoters. We really have three teams here that participate in this process. Sales and marketing, of course, up front, but we also have to consider customer service. We need to include them because they do play an important role in client satisfaction. So when I look at these three teams, I call them the client-facing team. Today, we're really focusing on sales and marketing, but customer service, again, plays a very, very important role when we can't discount that. So each team has distinct roles, but they are tightly connected, and they really have to be aware about what the other guys are doing. So if we look at marketing, they're getting website traffic, they're getting leads converting on calls to actions or downloading ebooks, and they're qualifying leads for sales. Now, this is important because they don't want to be attracting people who aren't going to be buying your products or services, but at the same time, they want to keep encouraging those that will. Then sales comes along and they're learning more about the prospects, connecting quickly, which is really important, nurturing relationships, and they continue that ongoing education. And again, this could be through a variety of content, touches, or even phone calls. Finally, we have customer service come into the mix. They continue to gather customer feedback, deliver exceptional service, and getting rave reviews because once again, everybody's looking at those testimonials and reviews when they're considering who they're going to be purchasing from. So this alignment is really key, and it's really important to understand how the team is aligning. And moreover, we've got to watch those transitions between marketing to sales to customer service. Just a real quick story. We were working with a client several months ago, and they had a form that was going to, sales at blah, blah, blah.com. And whoever was monitoring that email left the company, and they were getting all kinds of sales emails in there, and no one was monitoring them. So it's extremely important that when we look at the interactions that are going on, we're documenting what's happening, and we're understanding if somebody leaves, someone else has to fill that gap. It really ended up being quite a surprise to them when they realized how many emails they had not responded to. And that was troublesome for sure. So it's really important to especially concentrate on those transition points. That's where we see most things fall through the cracks. One other thing, though, that I really want to kind of focus on today, and I think it's extremely important, is that we have to consider that if we're going to have an aligned team, we have to have one point of truth, one database, one platform. You can't align your team if you've got disparate databases and spreadsheets and things that are inconsistent. And, I would really hesitate to say moving forward, you really can't do that any longer. It's extremely important that with this rapid pace of change, you have the ability to look into a database that gives you up-to-date information, history of the clients, and the ability to run analytics to see what's working and what's not. There's too much activity to track this discreetly. And really the process for producing things is going to be picking up the pace. And that means the process for us to track those leads is going to be picking up the pace. There are a lot of platforms out there. Patrick and I are both HubSpot partners, so we're a little jaded. We like HubSpot because we find it's an easy tool to use and they've got great support. But there are many, many tools out there for sales and marketing automation, and we're willing to chat with you or brainstorm at any time if you need. But the investment in a platform will add to that alignment and really provide the results and give you the analytics that you need to see. All right, with that said, first we're going to start, and these are really the tactics you want to deploy here, and these are things that you can be doing on an immediate basis. The very first thing that we have to talk about is making sure that we know our client. I stated earlier that 60 to 70% of the B2B content never gets used because it's not relevant to the buyer audience. And this may sound simplistic, and you say, yeah, I know who my audience is. But we really need to sit down and think about how to write up a persona. And what you're seeing here is an example of a persona. There are a lot of templates out there that you can download for free. But a persona is a detailed account of your buyer. And it details the demographics of the individual, his or her job function, key needs, and challenges that they face. Once you get this down, and hey, you might have several personas, and if you're in a variety of industries, you're going to have several personas within those industries. But once you write this down, it helps you understand how to build your content and how to communicate. So every time you're putting a piece of content together, you want to go back and look at the persona and say, am I speaking to Peter, the manufacturing engineer? Am I helping him solve his challenges? And am I helping him find out and solve the problems that he's interested in? Personas are really, really key and very often overlooked. So make sure that this is something, if you don't have it down right now, start to get it down. And if you have them, why don't you go back and review them, because things do change. Personas can change if you have new products coming into your mix. And it's really important to make sure that you've got these down. The next important piece we want to talk about, and Patrick talked about it a little bit earlier, is content, relevant content creation. Once we understand those personas, we need to think about what information they want to be looking for and finding. And there's a lot of opportunity to engage and be relevant. Within content, we have many, many different forms of content, and I think sometimes it becomes overwhelming. What do I do? Should I be blogging? Should I be writing ebooks? Should I be writing white papers? How's that going to help my SEO? And Of course, what about testimonials? All of these things are important. I'm going to start with blogging because we see that as an immediate impact with ourselves and our clients. When you stop blogging or you slow down your blogging, your website traffic immediately goes down. We've seen it time and time and time again. Companies who blog get 97% more links to their website. Really important, and it keeps you fresh and it keeps you relevant, and it helps those search engines. If your site stays static, the search engines aren't finding you. So blogging is a great way to keep your site relevant, keep it active, and really get some good participation on your site. The other thing to mention, it's important, is that old blogs can be optimized and retooled. You could maybe put in a new graphic image, clean it up a little bit, tighten up the verbiage, think about some new keywords, and retread that blog and get some more traction to it. So you don't have to constantly be recreating, just be creative with the content you already have. That kind of brings me down to ebooks or white papers or case studies. They take a bit of time to put together, but once you put a good white paper or case study together, you can pull different pieces of that out for separate blogs or separate pieces of your newsletter, because there's a lot of content in that, and that can give you content for up to 6 months and repurpose little pieces of that. So again, it's a great activity to do, but it takes a little bit of legwork to get that going. Testimonials, Patrick can't agree more. People love testimonials. They want to hear what you did to help people like them. They don't want to hear products, services, benefits, features. They want to hear how you solved problems. And websites that use testimonials see a 45% increase in traffic compared to those who haven't. So testimonials are absolutely phenomenal. And again, salespeople should be asking for them all the time. Video, yes, here we are, even today, looking at each other through Zoom meetings and what have. And you know what? You can do a Zoom, you can do an Uber conference. There are so many tools out there where you can video yourself. You've got your iPhone. There's so many ways to do video. And I think what I love about the, stay-at-home order is the fact that people got comfortable with being on video and didn't have to be perfect. Your hair didn't have to be perfect. You didn't have to have this great background. People are getting comfortable with video, and they really like seeing people in their environment. We had a client a couple of weeks ago, and they said, oh gosh, we need to show a piece of equipment and we can't do it. I'm like, just walk out onto the manufacturing floor with your iPhone, FaceTime them, or bring your Zoom meeting out. And they're like, you know what? We never really thought we should do that or could do that. I said, you can do it. It worked out beautifully. So we have to be creative, think differently. It does not have to be perfect. People just want to get their eyes on something. So video. I love it. There's a tool I want to share with you, and it is a free tool. We have used it, and it's called Vidyard. And it is a great little add-on into your Chrome. And what you can do is video yourself. You could have a screenshot and have a little thumbnail of yourself down there explaining a product or a service. And then you can take that little thumbnail and put it into an email. And I can tell you that when I do a Vidyard as opposed to a regular email, I have a 50% higher open rate. So Vidyard is a great, easy tool to use. Love it. And if anybody needs more information, let me know. Just statistically, the word video can increase your open rate by 19%. So, again, a lot of content. People want to get to the meat of the matter. They want to see your face. They want to see who they're going to be working with. Video is a great way to do it. Timely follow-ups. This is something that we can't express enough how important it is. And this is where having good tools and having workflows really can help you be timely. Here's a perfect example. Manufacturing space, people download CAD drawings all the time. They're looking for products. They're looking for the dimensions. Anyone who's downloading a drawing of a product or a CAD drawing, that's a pretty interested party. So you want to make sure that you're aware who's downloading that content and then follow up with them in a pretty short order, because they're not only looking at your products, but they're looking at other people's products. depending on where you are, if you're in the B2B space, manufacturing space, or even the B2C space, if there's someone that's reacting with you digitally, they're interested. Go back to that buyer's journey. So make sure you reach out to them, because if you reach out to them and you show interest, they're going to start that digital conversation with you. Perfect example, last week, somebody downloaded a white paper, and all I did was email him and I said, hey, I noticed you downloaded this white paper. I have another piece of content that I think could be timely and could really help you. He's like, great, I'd love to see it. Sent him the next piece of information, had a sales call with him yesterday morning. So, you know, you've got to be timely, and you've got to have the tools that can keep you timely and give you those insights as to what's going on. So with that said, I'd like to take you into a real life case study that kind of shows you when you put all of this information all together and you've got the right personas with the right content and timely follow-ups, this stuff really works, guys. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to start by just showing an overview of a CRM tool. Now this happens to be HubSpot, but anybody using a CRM tool should be able to quickly look at this type of a dashboard or screen. So I have the contact up here, and I have all of the pertinent information about this particular person. On the right side, I have company information, and if there's anything specific to this person, if there were deals they were involved with, or ticket maybe being they had some kind of a customer service problem that we'd want to know about. And down the main portion of the screen, I can see all of the activities that this person has been going through, whether they have, we've updated a deal, whether we have notes from a phone conversation, emails we've sent, any calls or tasks related. So a beautiful dashboard where you can just go into a contact and see all of the pertinent information. So this is just a screenshot of the CFO at Pizza Hut, but the following screenshots here are actually taken from a real client database and a journey that someone took on their website. We took out any incriminating evidence to protect the client's anonymity. But this contact was created from an organic search back in July of 2019. They then submitted a form, and we were able to capture their contact name and email, and we sent them the contact piece that they had requested. So we go through July 3rd, they viewed some web pages, and then in September, we sent them a nurturing email. So we weren't bugging them, you know, it was like kind of a quarterly email that we send out. And then in October, the salesperson created a deal name. So now clearly there has been a conversation, the salesperson has gotten involved, and that deal then turned into an opportunity in October. Then in December, the deal was won. So you can see the entire buyer's cycle, what was going on. And if we specifically went into this contact's information, we would see the call notes that the salesperson had and everything that was going on in the background. We continued through January, and then in March, you can see we had another new opportunity that was created. And again, we're still nurturing. Now that he's a client, we're nurturing with a different email. We won't be sending the type of content we would to a prospect, but really sharing relevant information with regards to the product or service that they engaged in. So this is a really neat journey to see, and this is the type of thing you see when you have sales and marketing alignment, and you're using a tool that can give you this data back. It's really a dream. So just to recap quickly, you want to define your team, responsibilities, and handoffs, have a software in place to track interactions and conversions. This enables you to analyze what's working and see that buyer's journey. Define your personas, create relevant content for those personas, use video engagement as much as you can, and don't forget to follow up. I know it sounds silly, but the follow-up sometimes really gets lost in the sauce, I have to say. So, that being said, Patrick, I'm going to ask you to come back live here, sir. I want to thank all of you for spending some time with us today. And Pat, could you give us a little bit of background on Acedia and what you guys do?
I would love to. Thanks very much. And that was Marge, that was awesome. And I'm telling you this, I've seen you give this already, and I'm still like, this is so interesting. So well
It's
done.
fun. It's fun.
I work at Acedia. Acedia is a digital-only shop out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where it is sunny about 2 weeks out of the year. Kidding, of course. It's 3 weeks. Anyway, we are Acedia. We are a digital-only shop that we focus on website design and development, as well as digital marketing. We have been in business in September, it will be 20 years, and with a focus in 3 specific areas, that being manufacturing, higher education, and leisure travel. This was awesome. This was just an awesome opportunity. I'm really glad to be here, and ready to take any questions if we have some.
Thanks, Patrick. Really love it. This has been a great collaboration. We've had a lot of fun doing this. And, we have not met. We've only met virtually, right? We haven't face to face, but somebody at HubSpot connected us, and we thought this would be just timely content for everybody. And again, with trade shows diminishing, the need to get in front of people virtually, digitally, keep that website open. It's your 24/7 trade show, guys. It is your 24/7 trade show. Make it relevant, make it impactful. A strong website is just the foundation for all of this other stuff. And we sit here in Dayton, Ohio at Acadia, and we're just about 20 years old. And when I started Acadia 20 years ago, we really were focused, and we still are, on lead generation. We use different tools now. We really started out as an outbound agency doing prospecting and sales calls for manufacturing and industrial clients. And we have transitioned to incorporate that digital journey as well. But our focus is really on helping our clients understand this journey and making sure that they're deploying the right people with the right content at the right time. So it's been a lot of fun over the past 20 years. And you know what? I think the next 2 are going to be even faster than the last 20. So to that point, Bridget, let's open it up to any questions we have in the chat pane.
Excellent. Yeah, we did get a few. Let me get those up here. So, Pat, we had one for you back when you were talking about the About Us section on your web pages. So we had, for the Meet Our People in manufacturing, would you suggest management members or production members to be up on that page?
Yeah, that's a great question. Where do you kind of draw that line, if you need to draw the line? And quite honestly, I would do both. I would do both. I think the production people who are there have a rich story to tell, and I think that's a part of the overall culture that needs to get out. Again, you're thinking about this differently in talking about what makes these people really unique and special. And some of these production people have got amazing stories to tell of working on the line for 20 years, of how they've seen progress going. If you could get that out, and you've got those people in your organization, that's pure gold.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thanks so much. And then Marge, you were talking about blogging. So would you suggest integrating that as a page on your website?
Absolutely, yes. So blog pages on your website are very well visited. And again, it keeps your content fresh. And I think when it comes to blogging, people say, oh my gosh, what am I going to write about? So one of the first things that I recommend for clients is sit down with one of your salespeople or 2 of your salespeople and ask them, what are the most frequently asked questions you get when you're on a sales call? And just start jotting them down. You'll probably have 10 to 15 things immediately, and each one of those frequently asked questions is perfect blog content because you're talking about something that another prospect is probably asking about, and they'll start Googling that and it'll get searched on. So yes, blog content incorporated on a page in your website is fabulous because you want to keep them on your website. You want to drive them there.
Excellent. One more, Pat, what is the difference between a customer review and a testimonial?
Well, customer review, they're pretty similar. But a customer review, how I'm viewing it, is somebody who's actually talking about that product and their experience with it. And where I think the difference is is customer reviews are a little bit more ongoing as well, right? I mean, for example, look at Amazon and the customer reviews on a book. You might have, if I wrote a book, Marge may say, this was awesome, really enjoyed it. But then at the same time, you've got the customer reviews where people continually contributing to this particular book, right? What they liked about it, what they didn't, and so forth. So they're similar. I would say the difference for me anyway is just the frequency in which they are added.
Awesome, thanks. We had someone ask about the free tool Marge was talking about. That is Vidyard. It's Vidyard. So if anybody was looking for that. That was, I think, all of the questions. Let me just do one more scan and make sure. We will send the slides out here this afternoon to everybody, so you will get those. We did record this session as well, and so that should be ready in about 24 hours. If anybody wants to send it on to any colleagues, we'll get that out to you as well. Just want to thank everybody so much for your time. Pat, Marge, thank you so much for the presentation.
Bridget, if you could just throw up Pat and my contact information. I think it's on the bottom, but everybody will get it. And Pat, I know you've got to run, but this was great, guys. And you know, Patrick and I love to talk all the time. Call either one of us if you have questions after this.
All right, excellent. The contact information is up on the screen, so we will send that out with the slides right after this. But again, thanks everybody so much for your time.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Great afternoon. Bye.